Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 83. I am your host, Barney Smith of storycomic.com, and we are excited to have with us the internationally acclaimed and award-winning children's book authors, Caroline and Katherine Brickley.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
Hi. Thank you for having us. And Bibley.
And so you just have launched as of this recording on June 15th. You were basically halfway through your goal on your latest Kickstarter, which is a friendly bookshelf, correct?
Yeah, we actually just hit 76% today.
Okay.
So in just a week, we're pretty close to getting there, which is really exciting.
Wow. And I got to tell you, this hour is going to fly by because not only we're going to talk about a bit about the friendly bookshelf and the different tiers that you have on there on the Kickstarter, but also, just want to talk about a bit also because we do have a lot of other children's book authors and people that are interested in writing books on how to get started, and you have such going to your blossomchildrensmedia.com website, you have so much resources for parents, for teachers. You also have a YouTube channel with songs and all this kind of stuff. So you've really created quite a substantial brand, and some of that is based initially off of your Blossom shop, your first children's book, correct?
Yeah,
that's correct. Well, we're glad you took the time to take a look into it. We started Blossom Children's Media Group, which is the publisher of both books, to really create immersive experiences for children and families. So we publish picture books and then take them off the page through a lot of different media-based experiences, as well as community-centered experiences, so children and families together can really dive into these worlds, interact with the characters we write about. And it's the same. We did that with the Blossom Shop, and now we're doing that with the Friendly Bookshelf, which we're very excited about.
So how did the two of you, walk us back a bit on what made you, because this was back in, I think it was like 2017. Was that when you first published the Blossom Shop?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so what was the impetus of deciding to write the book, and then tell us, how that process went?
Yeah, so we always were drawn to storytelling. It was something, so we grew up in a single parent household. So our mom always, when she came home from work, something that we always saw as really cherished time to us was when she came home from work, and she used that time to bond with us through stories. And so during bedtime, no matter how tired she was, we would always insist, Mom, make up a story of your own. And she would do that. And she would make up these stories. And usually they involved Caroline and me somehow, which made them even better because we were the stars. And through those little stories, we were always like, what if we did them of our own? So we grew up creating our own stories. And then Caroline can speak to this a little bit, but we actually launched our first children's media company in high school in our junior year. And that was performing as other people's characters, movie and TV characters. And I don't know if you want to go from there, but that's kind of what inspired us to start Blossom.
Yeah, that's right. We were performing, so our most popular characters were the Disney princesses. And so every weekend we would load up our mom's car with all these, the costumes, the princess-themed things, and we would go perform as these characters at children's events. And we were really amazed at how children interacted with these characters, that when they saw them, I remember the first time we did, this girl ran up to me, I was Sleeping Beauty, and she gave me a big hug and kiss, and she was so mesmerized. And I had never met her before, but she had met me, Sleeping Beauty, through movies and books. And so we wanted to create characters of our own and really put more of the focus on books and give children the opportunity to interact with the characters they've read about in books to get them excited about reading again during a time when children are increasingly drawn towards technology, which is not to say technology is not good, but children need an array of experiences on and off screen, and that was really the impetus for Blossom Children's Media Group.
And so, because we through that, and let me just pull it up too, is that through Blossom's Children Media, as we say, that you have you got your two stories. You got the Blossom Shop and the Friendly Bookshelf. Plenty of content, as I said, the resources piece, and I'd be very curious to talk to you a bit about how that worked. So when you decided to write, say, the Blossom Shop, for instance, how did that work? So basically, you both decided. Where did the idea come from, I guess?
Yeah, so it's hard to exactly pinpoint where the idea came from. All I remember, we did go to the same college. We were roommates, and so we were naturally, after we closed our Princess Party business and we went to school, we were like, well, now we want to start another, and it happened to be with creating our own stories. So in our dorm room, we started brainstorming ideas, and we came up with this one, which is kind of loosely based on our own childhood. A lot of people look at the cover and they're like, is that you guys? And we're like, no, that's Poppy and Posy, but it kind of is. And so in a more magical way. And the pieces to how we produced it, it was actually, so it was also during our junior year of college when this was published, and we did it through an entrepreneurship class at our school, Binghamton University. And so we worked with a team to start out from the concept and really build a business and also pitch it to investors, which we were able to compete for some investor capital. And we actually were awarded first place. So that kind of catapulted us to be able to publish the book at at mid 2017.
Wow. And so it came, as you said, it came with, like, music and videos, some printables, some educational pieces. I mean, it can go on and on. At what point did the two of you say, this is a lot? I mean, like, because you could still do more and more. So where did you decide to say that? Is there any, I guess, what's my question here? What are some of the things you did as writers and creators of this, as we call, like, the IP, this intellectual property? When did you decide to say, are there things on here that you just couldn't fit in because it was because you had a lot already here? Was there anything that you still want to put into it that you just didn't have time to, or?
Yeah, well, we have lots that we still want to create with the Blossom Shop. And Catherine, I know you like to talk about this as well, but I'll just start off with saying we have hopes of creating a library and school programming, which schools can use and implement. We hope to pitch the show, to pitch the book as an animated children's TV show. We have prototypes for dolls, which we hope to create for Poppy and Posy, but have not yet. And we really what we've created so far has really been just Katherine and I as entrepreneurs, and I'm sure, Barney, you can speak to this as well. You are often required to do everything yourself sometimes. You can't find someone else to do it. So we've done a lot of stuff on our own, and we hope to, as we grow, we'll be able to provide more the Blossom Shop inspired content.
Because you also have on here too, one of the points that you bring up is that you want to tell stories about, to kind of like inclusive, compassionate leadership for children. Was this as the types of stories that you wanted to tell, or was this types of stories you saw that weren't being told?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. It's actually something we really wanted to tell. and Carolyn, you can expand upon this if you want. But growing up, we actually, encountered a pretty large bullying experience in high school, and so that was also what kind of inspired us to start our party business in high school. Was we were looking for a place that we, would be welcome and we could be ourselves. And so when we started this business, we really wanted to create an environment through books where the stories really inspire kids to find the confidence to share their own. So with the Blossom Shop, we've created an international campaign where kids can send in little paragraphs about how their unique qualities are helping them make the world a better place. And then now with the Friendly Bookshelf, we're doing an Everyone Has a Story campaign where kids, just like the main character, are coming together online to share their own unique stories and celebrate those of others.
So yeah, let's transition a little bit over into the Friendly Bookshelf. What was so there's a space of a couple of years in between the Blossom Shop and the Friendly Bookshelf. Was there like an aha moment where you said, hey, the Blossom Shop has a great message, we're missing something? Was there a very deliberate point, or was this another spark of inspiration where the idea of, as you talk about in the Kickstarter, in the Kickstarter video of the Friendly Bookshelf, where a bookshelf wants a story about them as well. So talk to us a bit about how the Friendly Bookshelf story was created, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think from a lot of different things. I remember I think it's really, so over a year and a half now, we started developing the concept of the Friendly Bookshelf, but the idea we had, the idea that originated was long before that. We kind of wanted to write a book that was about stories. So we were thinking about our company and how our company brings stories off the page for children. And naturally, somehow we thought of a magical bookshelf. and we imagined this bookshelf as a character, and that's the character Bibli, who is also behind Catherine. And the story began, which it's pretty interesting. It was originally about a magical bookshelf named Bibli, that has never changed, who helped children find their stories, through magic. But we couldn't get over the fact that this little bookshelf, who lives in a library corner all by himself, really didn't have a story of his own. He was just helping others tell their stories. And for Catherine and I, that felt like a very relatable thing. And also, since Catherine and I have worked with children for a very long time, we know that children can feel that way, that they're not seeing themselves in media, or that they don't have an important story to share. And so we thought that Bibli and his story could really be something important for children today. And that's really what inspired us to write this story. And Catherine, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, that's a really good summary of kind of what inspired us to do that and how the story really developed over the past year and a half. But we were actually surprised that the idea of a living bookshelf wasn't taken, and I think and so we definitely were like, let's jump on that. But the cool thing is, even though the book hasn't been published, through its promotion and social media, we've already been receiving messages from parents, from kids that have heard about the story so far or have participated in the Friendly Bookshelf's Everyone Has a Story campaign, which I spoke a little bit about earlier. Is that already Bibli and his story are helping kids feel assured that they matter and they can find their story too and share it with others and be celebrated for it, rather than feel alone in the library corner like Bibli did at the beginning.
Wow. Okay. So let's chat about the let's chat about the Kickstarter. And so this is exciting because what and I tell you, somebody that does that follows Kickstarters and likes doing them as well, is that one of the pieces is that you always like to see if somebody's created it, how many have they backed. So you've been familiar with Kickstarter in the past, because it looks so Blossom Children's Media has backed over 10 of them so far. So what was the decision that was made to say, because Blossom Shop, you didn't do that as a Kickstarter, did you? No, right?
No.
So what was the decision that you made as a team, as a group, to say let's do Kickstarter with this one?
Yeah, so, well, we like to look at our following and the people that we serve, the children and families, as our Blossom family. So we look at ourselves as one big family, and we really wanted, especially since we're creating content for these people, for them to be a part of it. And I think Kickstarter presents a really unique way to involve your followers in what you're creating. And what we've learned too is that kids really like to be a part of the creative process, and it's really cool for a kid to actually have the opportunity to have on their shelves a book that they were a part of making. Caroline, I don't know if you had any more about why we chose Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's really the main reason why we chose to use Kickstarter for this book. We want children and families to feel that they're a part of this book, this story. And like Katherine said, that is a pretty unique opportunity. You're going to be helping us bring the story to life. And once the book is published, we'll also have lots of opportunities for kids to continue being involved with the story too.
Okay. So I have, we talked before we went on the air. I had my 6-year-old. She wanted to ask a couple questions about the book before we start. So I'm gonna pull up her questions. You got it. So for the sake of editing, she asked the second question too fast, so I have both questions are right after one after another. So, all right. So here's our guest interviewer, Elizabeth.
Okay.
My name's Elizabeth Smith, and I'm 6. And I have 2 questions about the book you're making. So my first question is, why did the bookshelf want to have a story? And my next question is, why did the bookshelf have a face? Thank you.
All right, those are two real hard-hitting questions there.
Those are actually.
Yeah.
Answer those. Wow, those are some good questions. Yeah. And your daughter is so sweet.
Well, yeah. So the first one, why does Bibli want to have a story? So to answer her question a little bit, I think Caroline went into it a little bit before, but I think a lot of us can relate to the idea of Bibli. He's in the library. He's surrounded by lots and lots of stories, and more than that, he holds a lot of stories. And every day he listens to story time in the children's section. But yeah, he's never heard a story about someone like him. And even for a bookshelf, it makes you feel forgotten and alone. And it's important for all of us to feel like our story is being told somewhere out there, even if it's by ourselves. So that's a big reason why Bibli wants a story about someone like him. Caroline, did you want to answer why Bibli?
Yeah, I think I got the hardest question. Yeah, well, Bibli has a face, Elizabeth, because he is a magical talking bookshelf. And in fact, when the book comes out, you'll see that Bibli resides in a magical library. So all the bookshelves in the library have faces, and they all have unique personalities of their own.
Okay, good. All right, good. Yeah, so those are some like I said, those are some hard-hitting questions that they just threw it at you.
I think your daughter's going to be carrying on the career.
So let's go through what can people expect from the Kickstarter? do you want to kind of go through the pledge levels?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Carolyn, did you want to go through the first few?
Sure. Yeah, so we have, so I guess, for some people who might be new to using Kickstarter, you can pledge to our campaign, and each pledge, when you pledge a certain amount, you'll get a certain collection of rewards. And so the very first, well, you can pledge any amount without a reward, but the very first pledge level that we've designed, it's $5, and it includes, we'll add your name to the Friendly Bookshelf website as a token of gratitude and commemorate your taking part in this story. And then you'll also receive the Friendly Bookshelf exclusive Kickstarter coloring packet PDF straight to your computer.
Wow.
And our head illustrator, we haven't spoken about her yet, Daniela Perez Duarte. She's currently designing right now, and this is something you can only get by pledging to our Kickstarter.
Okay.
And then, sorry, what?
Oh, I was just going to say, it's they kind of build upon each other. So slowly you'll get more and more rewards. At certain levels, you'll get the hardcover copy of the book or just the ebook. Some you'll see once you reach a certain pledge level, you'll get a signed hardcover copy. And then additionally, you can receive bookmarks, special The Friendly Bookshelf bookmarks, personalized notes from Bibli and Cassie, and other rewards, which is, this is something that's really important to us, is when you pre-order certain tiers on Kickstarter, we are able to donate copies of the book to libraries, whether they're school or public libraries across America. And it's really important to us to get this story about a bookshelf on bookshelves all over. So that's a really cool pledge tier.
Okay. All right. And so you have on here, so yeah, so like I said, like here on the Always Be Your Shelf bundle deluxe, that's where you have, and as you're saying, Caroline, they kind of add up to each other. They kind of build on top of each other, each pledge level.
Yeah, each time you increase your pledge level, you receive more. But beyond these, so even if you select like the Always Be Your Shelf bundle, we also have a lot of add-ons. Some of them are in other tiers, like the bookmarks. Some of them are actually from our previous brand, the Blossom Shop. So like if you want the Blossom Shop book or ebook, you can add that on for a discounted price. We also have the dress-up costumes. So we have a lot of cool add-ons, and we also have some stretch goals if you wanted to go through those as well, which we might be working on based on feedback that we're receiving, because everybody wants this plushie right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the Bibli plushie. So
Right there, yeah.
A little boy.
Yeah.
That's so each pledge, so you have that where you'd have the bundle, and then you have the best bookshelf friends forever bundle. Okay, so that's 5. Okay, class visit bundle. Okay, so as you say, it kind of adds on to
and
you'll library visit.
Yeah, and you'll get multiple copies of the book. And yeah,
and we really feel, so this book was developed with an educational consultant. So it's the social emotional learning component is really big in this book. We really wanted to assure that it met its mission of what we wanted to achieve with kids and helping them develop those skills like self-confidence, inclusion, friendship. And so this story is one, like you mentioned before, there's a class visit and a library visit bundle. And so we really want to welcome schools and libraries to bring this story into their classrooms. And those bundles actually include a virtual visit with us. So we would come as the authors, read the story. We will also have a little Bibli theme song, and we'll do some activities that help kids foster those skills.
Now, so Blossom Shop, did you have an educational consultant on that, or is this was something that you did for this book only?
Yeah, we did have some assistance, but not when we wrote the story. So that's something that's unique to the Friendly Bookshelf. We've been working with Dr. Laura Zimmerman, who's on your screen right now, while creating the manuscript. So it's pretty special, and we hope people will be as excited to read a story that has this type of research at its heart as we are.
Yeah.
And so how did you, so I'm just kind of curious about, someone who also has a sibling, not a twin, but, so how does that work with, for the two of you, what the dynamics work? I mean, being sisters, and is there some sort of like Venn diagram where you kind of both share some responsibilities, but you both have your own separate things where you let the other person do? How does that work?
Oh yeah. Well, when Caroline was here, we usually work in the same room, but it's usually pretty quiet because we're off doing our own things. And yeah, they usually say, "Oh, don't work with your family." But Caroline and I obviously we're very close, considering that we could even be roommates at school. So we really enjoy working together. And so yeah, we have our desks side by side. Right now we're working virtually, so that's something new for us that we're kind of learning. But yeah, we work really well together, and we do delegate tasks. So like she was mentioning before, when you're doing entrepreneurial things, you have to do everything all by yourself. And so we do like to do both things at the same time. We're learning, like, maybe you should do the social media today and I'll work on the story. But yeah, usually when it comes to the story, though, we do develop it together, and then sometimes we'll trade off writing and editing it, and then go from there.
Was there ever so when you wrote that your second, did you do anything different compared to your first manuscript of the Blossom Shop as compared to the Friendly Bookshelf? Was there lessons learned that you said, all right, next time let's make sure we do it like this, or how'd that work?
Yeah, well, we learned so much from publishing the Blossom Shop, and we're very lucky because while we said we do a lot of stuff on our own, we're also very fortunate to have a team, a very experienced team who really taught us what we know and what we've been able to apply to the Friendly Bookshelf. And so I think it's hard to say just one thing because there's so much that we've learned from the last experience, but really setting out the timeline way in advance. I think as someone, you must know as well, publishing, you have to be very organized. There's so much that goes into one book. You don't really think about it when you're picking up a book in a bookshop, but there's so much that goes into that book. Right. And yeah, and Katherine, yeah, I know it was, we talk about it all the time, our first experience with the book. It was funny because we were doing that while we were still in school. And it's hard for us to believe now that we were able to somehow do that, but I think it comes down to the team that we were able to assemble.
We'll have, we have some, children's book authors or authors listening to this who are struggling to try to find an illustrator. How did you two find your illustrators to do your books? What was that process like?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the most daunting parts of the process, because when it comes to especially children's books, the illustrations are really the most important part, because that's what the kid sees. That's what draws them towards the story. And so making sure they're high quality, but also, as, budget friendly to an independent publisher. So we actually were we really put a lot of effort into this. It's not an easy thing to do. Our first illustrator, who's amazing, and she's really gone on to do such wonderful things, Joni Stone, we found her through Instagram. So yeah, I think we were using like a hashtag kidlit art or something like that. You can use hashtags like that to find really amazing artists. And then Danny, Caroline actually found her. So did you want to go into how you found her, Caroline?
Yeah. While it's difficult, like Katherine said, definitely for all those people looking to find an illustrator for their book, don't give up. For the Friendly Bookshelf, we decided to try a different way of finding an illustrator, and it was through Upwork. So Yeah, and so there's so many different places you can look for illustrators. And I think what's also important when finding an illustrator is not only who has an illustration style that you're looking for, but also someone who you just mesh well with. We're very fortunate with both of our illustrators, and we can't say that enough. They're both amazing people. But also we could say an idea and they're like, oh, I get that. Like, and with Danny, she really the story really resonated with her, and it was so funny when she sent us the sample art. We were like, how did you draw this? Like, this is exactly how we envisioned Bibli. So I think those are two important things to keep in mind.
Well, yeah, that's an important point Caroline brought up, which is we definitely recommend doing those sample tests, because an illustrator can, obviously so many are so talented, but when you're writing your own story, like Caroline was mentioning, you have such a specific vision. And so when we were able to do the sample test, we were able to see, oh my gosh, this person is able to bring to life exactly what we see in our own minds. And I think that's so important for storytellers to have that person on your team.
And do you have, because Blossom Children's Media is a mission-driven organization, do you actually, when it comes to finding people to be on your team or do that, do you have like these non-starters by saying, this is what we believe in, this is what we want? So do you want to make sure you try to find team members and also illustrators that also share that same vision?
Yeah, so since we definitely do, since we cater to kids all around the world, it's been really cool to see it grow over the past few years. We make sure that all our teams are have people located all over in different countries. Like Daniela is from Mexico, but she lives in Spain now, and one of our musicians is in South Africa, who helps us create the music. And so yeah, it's really cool because it adds a multicultural perspective and brings that to the story. For instance, our illustrator Danny, the architecture she made, and it'll be seen in the book of the outside of the library, it has a very unique feel to it. Her grandpa is an architect, so he was able to draw that up. And yeah, we make sure that when people are working on our projects, that the mission of making these stories to promote togetherness and empathy, they have that there, and that's portrayed through not only our words and the editing, but through the illustrations. So in the illustrations in the book, kids will be able to pinpoint little things of others acting in kindness that might not be shown through the text. So we always make sure to make sure our team is aligned with those that mission.
And the educational resources perspective of that, if what advice would you give for children's book authors to say that, you know, obviously when you do a children, especially a picture book at a certain age, you have to make sure there's a lesson involved. So what advice would you give to an author, a children's book author, who wants to also make sure there's some partnering educational resources with that? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so I think that's a great point. I think because children's media, in every format, you need that educational component. So I think it's important to really focus on the story first. I think for Katherine and I believe that the best stories, the moral or the messages could come from the story, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to write about that message, the story, it's not gonna get to the point you want it to. And the story is what gets the children to read the book and the story, I guess, is a device. Like, it's a way you convey these messages to children. And so with the Friendly Bookshelf, we wrote the manuscript first, and we were pretty far along within the story before we brought Laura on. And so at that point, what Laura was doing was analyzing the manuscript and ensuring that it was conveying those messages. And I think that was really helpful for us because it was about the story first. and then we were just ensuring that it met the goals that we hoped it would. And just I want to make a note. We were fortunate enough to meet Laura through. Kath and I were part of the Children's Media Associations as we were brought on to create one of their mentorship program for them, and we met Laura through that organization. So I think as children's authors, although it can be difficult because writers and artists are naturally sometimes, not everyone, I am not always as social, and networking is harder, but I think that's one of the most important things, is to build your network and find the people who you connect with and who will believe in your story and want to work together with you.
Now, do you have, this is I think it's a fun question. So I love the idea of like, like shared worlds, or like, kind of like, is there like is the Friendly Bookshelf, is it part of the Blossom verse? Is there any like little Easter eggs that, that people that read the Blossom Shop, do you have something in the background, like maybe a book spine or something that people are going to recognize at all?
Yeah, that's actually really funny, because until you mentioned that, I forgot. But Danny, our illustrator, was really cute and clever in how she incorporated a few Easter eggs. So, like in one part, and readers can kind of try to spot these, but in one part, you can actually see the full front cover of the Blossom Shop. And then in one portion of the book, you'll be able to see a flower that resembles the flower at the end of that book, somewhere in the library. So there are little things like that from our other brand, which kids will have fun looking out for.
And do you have, I think it's a safe assumption that this isn't going to be, you're going to be making more books, right? So is there, yeah.
Yeah, well, we definitely plan to, we have a whole list because we have a shared drive, and we have this huge list, and we don't even know how we're going to do it. But we kind of know which ones we want to do next. But this is the one we want to focus on right now, though, just because we feel, it's so unique in terms of the bookshelf, and how we really want to try to get this character in as many schools and libraries as we can. And then also with the Blossom Shop too, we want to keep fostering that story and seeing where we can go from there. Like Caroline mentioned, we really want to pitch our stories as TV shows. That's kind of the dream with our business, is to see them translated onto television and maybe movie screens. So the multimedia approach.
And do you see, and this is always like this, the certain authors will kind of like stick to a generation and then kind of evolve with that generation of readers, where others want to just stick to a certain age bracket. Is there any thoughts of, as the people that read the Blossom Shop, a few years ago and kind of getting a little bit older, is there any thoughts of the Blossom Children's Media making like young, teen, young adult, but like something like graphic novel type stuff? Or is this, do you feel pretty confident in like the picture book side of things?
Yeah, well, we plan for Blossom to stay focused on picture books, so that younger age category. Though we kind of write our picture books so they can be enjoyed by people of all ages. Right, yeah. But Kath and I love to write, and it's our dream to maybe one day branch out into other areas. But Blossom will stay focused on picture books.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, yeah. So, just also for you have a great YouTube channel as well, where you have your videos.
Yeah, we always get sometimes a little shy when we'll bring them up, but it's our Poppy and Posy YouTube channel.
And I say so, and also too, I see that you have a TikTok channel. You have.
That's in the works.
That's in the works.
Yeah, so the YouTube channel, and that's something like you mentioned before, something you want to do, but you might not have enough time for. That's a very time-consuming thing. Some of those videos would take us a whole week to shoot, and then beyond that, we'd have to edit it, and that didn't even involve the recording and the writing and the composing of the songs, which we found was our most popular thing that we provided to families. And so we really, like we mentioned before, we're going to be making a song for Bibli, and we really want to now with this new brand, as we release it, put a lot of time into those videos, little music videos, songs for this story, and promoting the messages of the story through song and dance for kids to move along to and have fun with.
Right. And yeah, to be your shelf, right?
To be your shelf, yeah.
We bought it.
That's probably one of the songs.
So this is great. So I gotta say, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to, my daughters are really excited to read this book. And I, as I say, I think you're well on the way. So you got 3 weeks left, and you're already well over 70% right now.
Yeah, I think we might be 76 now. So we were really surprised because last week we were very nervous because just a few days ago we were at 4,000 something, and we're like, oh my gosh, we still have halfway to go. And then over the weekend we're like, oh, we might make it. Experience, but I think it's a really cool one to have for creators, and so we're definitely happy that we're doing this. And just like we said before, to be able to be doing it with the people we create these stories for is going to be something that we always remember and will always make this story really special to us.
Yeah, I mean, this is so yeah, please, yeah, so make sure too is like we're going to follow along with you on this as well over the next 3 weeks, and as I say, I think this is great messaging. As I say, someone with 2 daughters, I love the idea of the messages behind your books, which is about inclusiveness and creating this, giving people that confidence and leadership skills is incredibly important. You don't see that a lot in books and the supporting educational materials and resources. I mean, the 2 of you have and you can see the passion and compassion and the professionalism of all the work that you do. It's inspiring as a parent of daughters to be a part of this. So. Yeah.
I can't tell you how much that means to me, and I'm sure to Catherine as well, to hear that. And yeah, we really feel very lucky to be able to create this content, and we know how important stories can be in the life of a child as well as a parent, because for Catherine and I, like Catherine said, one of the best times of the day was connecting with our mom through stories. So we really want to I guess really make the best stories possible because we know they're important, and we want to serve children the best we can. Yeah, and so thank you. That really means a lot to us.
Yeah. So where can people find you if they want to learn more about your works?
So yeah, there are a few places where people can find us. So the main one that houses all of our brands is blossomchildrensmedia.com. And on there, on the stories tab, you can directly go to on stories. If you click on the Blossom Shop, that'll take you to the Blossom Shop website where you can interact with that brand, or you can click on the Friendly Bookshelf and be taken to the Friendly Bookshelf website to interact with that brand, which obviously is in the early stages, but as that develops, that's where you'll be able to pre-order the Friendly Bookshelf once it's off Kickstarter, and the release date is November. So if you pre-order it, you'll get it right, when it's released at the end of November, beginning of December. And then also, as you mentioned, a big thing for us is the educational resources. So we'll be building the educational resources for the Friendly Bookshelf, encouraging kids to learn through play with Bibli and Cassie, and then also, other things like the music, community experiences. And right now, actually, like we mentioned before, kids can take part in the Everyone Has a Story campaign. Any kid that wants to share their story. All stories, once they're submitted to us, get put on Bibli's virtual shelves for other kids to read and connect with. And then we're also preparing to roll out a little activity called Meet My Bookshelf. So kids will provide kids with a free printable where it'll have little features like eyes, mouths, noses, and they can decorate their own bookshelves and name them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited to see pictures of all the bookshelves kids create.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. This has been fantastic. It was a pleasure to chat with both of you, and as I say, I'm very excited to read The Friendly Bookshelf to my little girls. So thank you very much.
Well, we hope we answered their questions. Okay. Yeah, it was a pleasure to be on your show and to meet you and your beautiful family. And we're excited for you all to read the story. We hope it helps create beautiful memories for you guys at bedtime. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, especially now I'm half expecting to see googly eyes and cut out eyeballs and stuff on all the bookshelves now. I'm sorry, real quick. Did you want to come say hi? All right, she wanted to say hi. And let me plug in the speaker for her.
Hi.
Hi. We loved your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are great questions. Are you going to be a radio host?
Did you have any more hard-hitting questions? You can ask Bibli. He's here.
Did you have any other questions for them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? You have another question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what did Bibli's story, what did Bibli want his story to be?
What did he want it to be? That's a great question. So he didn't really know what he wanted it to be. Sometimes we don't know exactly what our story is going to be. But actually just through being himself, or as Bibli likes to say, being himself, he was able to find what his story was, and that was being a friend to everyone, which I think is always a great story to have. So, and I'm sure you're a great friend. You seem so sweet. So, yeah, Caroline, did you have anything on that question?
No, I think that was a great answer, Catherine. And yeah, and I don't think I can add anything.
Yeah. Do you want to say hi too? Sorry, they're getting ready for bed. Here, come say hi. Come here. She's shy. Yeah. Jordan. Yeah. All right, Daddy's gonna finish his interview then. Do you want to come say hi before we finish? No. Shy. She's 4, so that's different. She's not 6 like your big sister. Here, come say hi. You gonna say hi or not? All right, come say hi.
Hi.
Here we go. There you go. There, say hi.
We have 2 little stars.
Yeah. Yeah, we're sisters and you two are sisters.
Yeah. And you guys gonna write books just like them when you get older?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a little brother, and that's 8 months old.
Yes, a little brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
So maybe you can write a story about having a little brother.
Yeah. All right, Dad's gonna finish up. Good night, girls. I'll be able to tuck you in a little bit. All right. There we go. Yes. Okay. Good. All right. That was all right. I'm gonna write down a timestamp here. Another thing to edit out.
He's really good at answering questions or asking questions. She's a natural.
Yeah, she is very well spoken and very thoughtful questions.
Yeah. She's good. Yeah. She keeps me on my toes. She's at the edge of like always asking different things. Like, so yeah. There was something where it said like you should ask I can't remember what it was. It was something to do with you might know this. Like you got to say why 5 times. Not like why isn't it, but just ask a follow-up question to kind of get to something. But she learned that, I think, in her her library teacher taught her that or something. There's like she took a library class or something. They taught her that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. That
was Catherine when she was little.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was always asking questions.
Why was the only question I asked? My mom remembers I went next door to our neighbor's house to see the little girl, and I just kept asking why, and she was like, she asked my mom, she's like, can you take her home? So my mom can relate to you.
Exactly. So we had so I guess so that follow-up piece is that